All right. So I was talking in the interview about how you get in someone's space. So it's helpful to think of their space as kind of like this egg shape, right? So
Just like my spiders are going crazy right now. Just because, yeah.
especially when you know the nature what you do,
Yeah.
that I could do that to you, and you show me where everything is.
Yeah.
But granted, because there's nothing that we're doing to fool anyone, so
Yeah.
people see this. I this is a jacket I brought for you, just because people don't wear jackets like that anymore. I've learned
They do in New York.
they do. Yes, yeah, but for a lot of places, it's hard to find. No, you can have it.
40 regular.
Not just the eyes.
Turns out my jeans.
And but there are some things that we put on. You put a wallet, we put a pen. And the goal of this is I'll talk about the difference of how I steal things and how a thief would steal them on the street.
Okay.
So we'll show you the difference of a couple of those and how to get in space. So one of the benefits in the way that I steal stuff, as I approach your space, so you can feel like the spidey sense going off now. And I'm at it. I'm at your space. Now I'm inside of it.
Square them.
Yes. Yeah. And now I'm at it. I'm outside of it. But that shift is a different thing that a lot of people aren't quite aware of. Mm-hmm. But even you see like how I step back with one hip, I shift the weight back.
Yeah.
All those things are intentional to control the dynamic versus squaring up this way is a different thing. Yeah. And the same thing you've got in martial arts, the ability to have that softness is a useful thing sometimes, not to telegraph. But if I want to get inside the space, if I walk up and I walk into your space this way, now if I come in and I break eye contact, I share something with you this way, it feels fairly natural, like we're sharing, we have confluence.
Mm-hmm.
But if I keep eye contact as we go into that feels a bit different. Yeah.
They're like,
and it can move away, or even if you don't move, if I come here, I keep eye contact with you, it's really hard not to look at me.
Yeah.
But try not to.
Okay.
So try so if I show you a document or something like this, and I'm keeping my head, it's still the spidey sense there, right?
Don't like it.
So that's a human behavior piece that's normal. And what it does is it chops up your attention because you're thinking about other things. So at any time where I don't want to be focused here, I can just look up just too close. Yeah. And that creates that thing. And I'll use that. Now, what if I gave you something? And if I put something in your hand, now that whatever it is that I give you, my driver's license, so you just keep it that way. But when you go to look at that, that now creates a frame that works against you because you can't see through your arm. So now anything I wanted to extract off this side, you wouldn't see. Same thing if somebody's carrying their cell phone, they're looking at it, they can't see this side. It's their own manufactured blind spots. So being able to extract, so a pickpocket would keep a 45-degree angle off the backside or straight behind you, and their teammates would be there. They might lock an elbow so that you couldn't get the elbow back as they're doing an extraction. But that ability to take advantage of a space, when I was telling you about the Secret Service, when they were approaching, they stepped back like you did initially. They stepped back there this way. They pivoted back on the one foot. Yeah, right. But what I do, yes, exactly that. Yeah. So in that case, since you've been trained, I'm not going to be able to do this, but you're rather easy. So now when I come to this guy, this guy just gave me access. Yeah, so as I do extractions, I leave the items underneath my arm and I steal some things out and do it that way. So the way that you steal, like I talked about, we mentioned this term, kissing the dog. All of this, when I perform, is kissing the dog. That's drastically different than the street. Right. So one of the problems on the street,
handicapping.
Yeah, it is, because you remember me, because you now know what I look like. So how do I steal from you without you seeing me extract from inside? So right now, like you have a wallet there. So one way to beat that, and they call this playing uptown in the spot. So if I'm playing uptown or playing the pit, which is a hard extraction, one way that I might do that, if I have a backpack, and if we're in the subway. So if I'm here and I'm in front of you, I'm going to move you just a little bit this way so the camera can kind of see a little bit better. But let's use this pillow just as an improvised kind of backpack prop. Okay. So if I'm handing a backpack back to a friend this way, now if the subway is compact, it's tight, as I give this way, this now functions like a blind spot. Yeah. So I can come in and do an extraction. So if I lock, in this case, we have the pen there. If I lock on the wallet, now when I go to take that wallet out, I pass that to them. And now as this comes back, as my arm comes down, the extraction can be misattributed to my elbow coming down.
Right. In terms of the contact.
And they take that backpack, but on the other side, they take this wallet off to the side. Yeah. So that's a way that can play is just by passing a thing over here, locks you up, gets me here, and then I pass it back. And I can walk away. It's a slight kissing of the dog. Yeah. It's not the full thing. Versus like with me, when I'm stealing, I might look to check what somebody has. And as I extract, maybe, for example, so actually one tip real quick. From a pickpocket's perspective, a bifold wallet like this has names. So this part right here is called the feet.
Which is the feet?
These two parts right here.
Okay.
This is the head.
Okay.
So this is it standing on its feet in a pocket. This is it standing on its head. And this is laying in bed.
Okay.
So if I want to take it out of your pocket, it's better if it's not standing on its head because it can catch. And in this case, that's why I just detected with the pen is that the pen was inside of it while it's standing on its head.
Okay.
So they sometimes would say, I need to take it out of bed first. So one move, one whole play would just be taking it out of bed, moving it to that position.
Changing the orientation.
Yeah, and then stopping, waiting. It's kind of like sneaking up on rabbits. When the antenna goes up, you stop and you wait, you do small beats. So if I wanted to get into this pocket here, for example, what I might do is I hit the wallet. So two things. I can go in and extract it while I'm talking about the jacket, but then I can just leave it in place. So now it's clear of the pocket, but I'm holding it with my pinky. So it's a little delay. So by setting the time delay, I can do something else. But now as my jacket, the hand goes underneath, it's easier to do extraction later on. Or I can take it up and make it a little bit more showy if I'm showing it off for the people around.
Yeah.
So that's the style. It's a little bit more Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah.
And that way of doing these type of things. But in that, I was learning flair bartending to learn how to throw a wallet. So all those skills kind of marry in together with a lot of it.
So I guess if I wanted to cause problems, go feet up.
You could, yes.
But
rubber bands do not help. For some reason in America, there's this rumor that if you put a rubber band around the wallet, it makes it harder to come out of a pocket. It doesn't. They also believe that if you put it in the front pocket, it helps, but it doesn't. Jeans help a little bit because you have to be really intimate with someone to kind of get into the pocket. In a performing context, I can justify it when I'm not talking to you. I can come in through you, go into your pocket, and sometimes get it out that way. But jeans are harder than slacks. Slacks, front pocket, are extremely easy. They get hit a lot. And for pickpockets on the street, if there's a wallet in the back pocket, they'll cut like an L shape and they just push down, and the contents come out.
I used to cut X-Acto knives.
Change my culture. There was a culture in Peru that carry a blade in their mouth, and they're amazing at spitting it to their hand. So they spit it to their hand, slice, and put it back, so they have it concealed in their mouth. My brothers used to do the L cut. That's why I know that one. So they would cut with an L. They push that way, or they cut the bottom of the purse and push that way. But there's a lot of those things. Like one of the things that people say, well, I'll keep my hands in my pocket. But they'll do different things. Maybe they tilt your hat, or maybe they do a cigarette burn in the back of the neck. You go like that. And those little movements are enough for the rest of the team while you attribute that one guy to do an extraction. Sometimes one play is that somebody just goes to take their jacket off, and maybe they put their computer bag between their legs. And while they're taking their jacket off, it occupies them. So I've seen that they extract the laptop right out of a computer bag. So you still think you have it while you're taking the jacket off. So there's very bold moves because that jacket functions as a shield. But it is very improvisational, but also the combination of you have to know how to build the plane if you're going to try to build the plane on the way down.
Yeah, totally. All right. So what else from a concept perspective or technique perspective would form some of the fundamentals of either what you do or what thieves might do?
Yeah. Well, I'll show you a couple of things that are specific to my sleight of hand style. One thing is when I'm approaching someone using their hands, if I can see your hand, I'll give you something like the coin that we were talking about a while ago. If I'm giving you that coin to watch, like now it feels like you could turn your hand over, but I'm holding onto your thumb. So as you try, it doesn't feel like it's being controlled, right? And as a combination, same thing. If I use this hand, so I can control that, and I can control the speed at which it turns over. Same thing when I reach for this hand, I now stop this elbow from going back. So there's all these little mechanics of locking the body up. So it thinks it still has choices, but it doesn't. So you're bifurcating those choices a little bit.
Amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of those things, if you do this, let me see your hand this way. So you can kind of see, you can feel the palm of my hand, but if you put your hand flat against the back of my hand over there, both hands together, if I were to get the coin out of my sleeve, there it is, and it goes to your hand. Do you feel it? Right there? It's a fascinating thing, right? But that comes from kind of, and that's the flying up thing that we were just talking about. Yeah. But those mechanics of managing what they're paying attention to, but that combined both the controlling of the movement with also controlling what you feel and don't feel. So even though you think you feel everything or you're in control of it, you can still manipulate that.
Wow. All right. How does it change when you have, say, multiple people? and we could use the pillow as a prop if it's helpful. But
Yep.
in terms of navigating space, you gave me the example of the two
Yep.
Secret Service
Mhm.
agents and how you sidled up, turning this way to the second agent, leaving this guy exposed
Yep.
right, under the arm.
Yep.
Any other ways to think about interacting with multiple people? Because for you, I mean, not only are you kissing the dog, but you might be just kissing multiple dogs in the sense that you have witnesses, right?
Absolutely.
Or at attention.
Yeah, they're at attention. They're on top of it. They're trying to be vigilant, trying to be. So in that context, like if I have multiple people, if I want to hit this guy, but I know I want to do the next guy. So maybe one move might be, if I give him something to pay attention to, let's just use like a wallet, like we had before. So if I'm going to go after that wallet, one thing I can do as I come to pull that here, if I take out that, he's going to be very curious what that is.
Mm.
Meanwhile, the wallet goes, because this is that half circle line we were talking about before. If you notice that, it draws his attention because it's a strange thing. He's trying to do the accounting. What is that? And does that belong to me?
It's also an unnatural movement in a sense, right?
It is.
It's an inefficient.
Works. And it's very salient for that reason. And if I now pull a straight line though, you have both. See? So you feel the difference. I can't do anything with this hand. But if I come up this way and draw your attention, as you lock onto that, and I can feel you locking on, I can do the extraction, bring it over that way. But now in that same way, when I say, is this yours to this guy? Or I can say, is this yours over there?
Yeah.
And now as I do that, it seems to be going, it's just underneath my arm. But I'll use those kinds of movements as I extract their things, and I'll sometimes place it back on the guy. So maybe as I ask you to hold on to a thing, I leave somebody's wallet underneath your arm.
Okay.
Yes. And they won't know that the wallet's underneath their arm as long as they're holding onto that thing.
Yeah.
And if they start to move, I just move their elbow. And I just come back. So I'll use their body to hold on to stuff for me for a little while too.
And how do you think about extractions with, say, looser material? So front pockets on slacks, something like a jacket, versus the ring or a watch or something like that. It seems, from a novice's perspective, to be more difficult.
It does.
It just seems like I imagine most people who are listening who have never had something demonstrated on them like this would say, I would know if somebody pulled a ring off my hand. I would know if someone took a watch off.
Well, like a ring, if you have your hands up in the air, there's this idea from the models try to keep their hands up in the air before they put their hands under a camera, because the veins will be less and the blood will flow down. Of course, if they have their hands down, they'll be a different color, and you can kind of test that if you want to feel the difference between the two. But there's also this idea that the fingers become thinner.
Yeah.
Some people believe that might be an approach. What I've seen is, like for palm reading, is if there's a ring here, is trying to hold the hand to read the palm. But it puts them in position for the pinky to grab the ring as well. And now maybe I can't read your lifeline as well, so I use a little bit of oil on that. So now that oil lets me see a little bit better, but also gives me a little bit of lubrication for that. So now when I talk to you about other things, I can extract the ring. So it's a lot of times about the justification. If you were to steal something else, like a watch, again, a different justification. So for me, if I'm trying to steal your watch from this position, I have to have a reason to touch your wrist. Or I have to cover it with something else to be able to do extraction. On the street, an approach might be, one, they will sometimes do that where they're trying to move someone in this position to get a justification for the watch. But another one, let's say it's an expandable watch that comes over the end of the wrist, they would have expanded, maybe reach inside of a bag. And this is in Alhambra. I saw this outside of Granada, Spain.
Okay.
So when you come out of there, there's these ladies, and they had a bag of kind of like tea leaves, and you reach inside, and as you pull those out, you're trying to extract do a reading about this leaf. But what they do is they expand the watch, and when your hand goes inside, they leave the watch inside the bag, and you take your hand out of it. That can be like a Rolex. So they get very good at the combination of the mechanics of undoing the buckle and things like that. For me, that's a lot of the things that I would do, or different ways to do the buckle. And I'll show one that's not the technique I regularly use, but if you do the same kind of a different way, if you can imagine shaking hands, all these small motions coming through. So now somebody still believes that the watch is there, but now as I reach, if I have a jacket, it now seems to disappear off there. So that's more of a demonstrative way than the way I regularly do it. But you can see the mechanics that I can unbuckle the watch, give the appearance it's still there, and then steal it off.
Flip it off.
Yeah.
How would that differ from, I mean, you don't need to show it if you don't want to, but
Yeah. There's a handful that I don't have on camera. It's an interesting thing. So when the New Yorker wrote about me versus when they showed it in the video, I realized I hadn't stolen at my full speed on camera before. And it did affect a lot of people who would watch me and then come see me live and they would know it's possible. So now as I've developed new steals, I tend not to put those on camera. So I have the demo steals to show if someone were doing slow motion, it would look like this.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, thank you very much. Anything else that we should cover? Do you feel like that's a good ABC?
Good. I think like we talked about some places to keep your stuff. This pocket inside is a good place to keep some belongings. It makes it hard for people to steal. For pickpocketing, but for robbing, it's a different thing. Give them something else. Having a second wallet is a very useful thing. The other thing is there are these loops type wallets that can attach to your belt and they flip on the inside of the pants. It's a different kind of money belt. It's a pouch that loops on, and I'm sure you can put this up as a link.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and you flip it out and you put your contents in there. Just don't use that for your purchases. When you go to the bathroom, take out whatever you need out of that and use it, but keep another wallet that's there for somebody to steal. And it has some things that are meaningless. It's just enough to satiate their curiosity. Yeah. And the other tip was the coffee cup that if you have rings or
make the unimportant important.
Make the unimportant important just by having a cup, or the important unimportant, in this case, both sides. Inside the coffee cup is a nice improvised safe that you can use.
Perfect, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.